Hello and welcome to another video. And this case I'm gonna be doing a video a little bit different than the rest. Mostly the majority of the videos in which I include my voice are character guides so I can properly explain things, but this time due to some questions that I got on my Discord and so uh, I thought that well, I was gonna say a lot of people, but it's not a lot, like 4 or 5 are struggling thinking uh, what healer is the best between the two actual meta healers, And the video is for this. I'm gonna be trying to give my opinion on the question of who is the best healer or support between the anniversary albedo from the actual astral prayer that is gonna end like very soon in 2 hours. By the time this video is up, it's probably gonna be already over, or if it's better, the SSR version of Clementine. The short version, in case that someone is wondering, in my case, in my opinion, I will say that the Astral Prayer Albedo version is way better, but that doesn't mean that the Clementine version is a bad healer or something like that. Overall, in a scale from 1 to 10, both are a 10. But if the scale was like from 1 to 20, then there is where we'll be seeing the difference. Where Clementine will be like a 12, well, I will overly surpass Clementine and go straight to the 20. But let me explain why. What I'm gonna do right now is that I'm gonna quickly open both characters and show you the skills, and give you like a little resume about what the skill is, and mostly for what that skill is used, so you know what's going on. And I will tell you why one skill will be superior over the other at the end, and things like that. So starting with this healer, the anniversary version of Albedo. uh, the basic attack is, as you can see, not a lot. Basically magical damage that has a chance of transferring 2 buffs from the enemy target to the ally with the highest attack. So this is kind of like Pandora's Actor second skill, where you are transferring buffs, and as well as Pandora's ultimate skill. The first skill, the active skill, is an area of effect explosion that has 100% fixed chance to dispel 3 enemy shields, gives critical resistance boost, that is basically a 20% reduced crit taken, and also for each shield that she dispels is going to reduce damage taken by 5% and increase the damage dealt by 5% for 2 rounds, and can stack 10 times. So that means that literally you can take 50% damage, well, uh, 50% reduced damage taken and 50% extra damage dealt. Because you can scale this character with effect precision to, take more shields, more than just 3, even if the game doesn't really tell you. You see that when you play the character. You can literally go and stack this a lot. You can use this to counter our shield-based characters, like for example the counter teams that have the SSR Yuri or the tank Kokutos. Now, the passive basically purifies debuffs from her every time she's gonna take action. She's gonna restore health to the allies based on the damage that she does, as well as part of her own HP. And if the allies are full HP, instead of healing because they are already full health, she's gonna be converting part of the healing into shields. Not only that, when someone takes fatal damage, she basically saves that ally. She makes them invincible, uh, she grants them debuff immunity and high tier effect resistance boost for 2 rounds, and she can do that twice. So she can save one ally twice in a row in the same game, the same match, or she can save 2 different allies at the same time or on different times, or herself in case that it's needed. Not only that, but at high stars, 5 stars or more, she also highly reduces the damage that she takes on the first action for each round. Now, the ultimate. She basically gives a ton of buffs to someone. You choose one ally and she's gonna give them 30% extra turn meter boost, debuff immunity, indomitable so they can cheat death once, and high tier critical damage boost for 2 rounds, that is basically an increase of 45% on their critical damage. She also deals magical damage area of effect skill to all the enemies on the screen, nullifying 30% of their magical defense, and because it can nullify defense, it results in a ton of damage for a healer. And even if she gets to, deal little damage to one enemy, and in fact kills the enemy, the cooldown of the skill is gonna be reduced by 2 rounds, and it's a 3 round cooldown on the ultimate. So she can basically spam this if she gets kills with the ultimate. She also reduces the enemy supreme being action points by 10, so you reduce the enemy capability of throwing, leader skills. She also purifies all the debuff from the ally that you choose before granting them extra healing and extra damage based on how many debuffs she purified from the ally, and based on also part of Albedo max HP. It's gonna be an extra 5% heal and damage dealt by the next skill, based on how many debuffs she purified. Not only that, she has a 100% fixed chance to dispel 2 buff from the target, and she's gonna grant herself 2 meter boost based on how many how many buffs she took from the enemy. So, because this is an area of effect skill, that 100% fixed chance applies to all enemies. So if you're facing 4 enemies, she has a 100% fixed chance to dispel 2 buffs from each enemy, not from the entire team. So you can really take a lot of the enemy advantages in one single turn. Not only that, but if this skill happens to do little damage to one enemy, it's going to be treated as an execution, and it's going to nullify indomitable or dead unity skills. I've seen that she can nullify things like, for example, Serious Indomitable or the Resurrection of the Dead Knight. So also things like the resurrection, the time reversal of Valkyrie Shelter. So you can use that to, counter the characters that revive. Now, I'm gonna go to the Clementine. As you can see, it's only level 1. I just got her like 2 days ago, and it's not max or anything. But yeah, I read the skills and I have played against her in the arena many times, so I get a pretty good idea of how she works. The basic attack on her is a multi-hit attack, so she's gonna be hitting multiple times, and it's gonna be healing the ally with the lowest health for certain percentage of Clementine max HP depending on the level for each hit. Not only that, but each time that she hits, she is gonna dispel 1 debuff from the ally, and she can do from 2 to 3 hits in a single move depending on the stats of the character. So it's a multi-hit attack that is gonna heal the ally with the lowest health and is gonna purify from 2 to 3 debuffs. So it's a purify on the basic attack. The first skill is basically what most people get this character for. It's a healing, an area of effect heal for all the team that is gonna grant invincible to one ally that you choose for 2 rounds. Exactly what the Anniversary Albedo passive does, but instead of for 2 people, this is just for 1 people, and it doesn't act when someone takes little damage. Instead of that, it gets applied when you decide to use one skill, when you decide to use this skill on one particular ally. So if, for example, you know that the next turn of the enemy, your damage dealer or your mage is gonna take a lot of damage, then you put this skill on that ally to preventively, protect that ally from all incoming damage. So this is a very similar skill, but the way you activate it is very different. Not only that, but when you use this skill, everyone except her on the team is gonna have the ultimate skill cooldown reduced by 1 turn, which can play really good with other characters that use Termination or Vermare sets. Termination for damage dealers, Vermare sets for, utility characters, and is basically a more powerful version of Pestonia Arclight combined with Pestonia ultimate skill. Not only that, but the healing can be up to 10% of Clementine health, and it's a max level at 2 round skill. So uh, for granting invincibility that lasts for 2 rounds, as long as you keep this character alive, you can combine with a Vermare set, you can basically permanently keep someone invulnerable, but you will need this character to be incredibly tanky to be able to pull off that combo. Now, the passive skill is that she increases the attack of her allies each time that she gets a blessing stack, and she can get up to 20 blessing stacks. And how do you get the blessing stacks? Well, each time that she heals. So basically, she can throw the basic attack. The basic attack is gonna be a multi hit, so it can be from 2 to 3 hits. Those are different healings, can be from 2 to 3 heals by action per action, and that will allow her to give from 2 to 3 blessing stacks in a single action. Not only that, but before she heals, she's gonna purify healing block or healing down each time that she's gonna heal, so she prevents the most common counter to all the healers on the game. Not only that, but each stack can uh, increase the attack up to 1.6% of the attack of the ally in question. Not only that, but if she gets 10 or 20 stacks on either herself or on the ally, any ally, she's gonna be able to grant debuff immunity and ultimate defense boost as well at 5 and 15 stacks. So what happens is that, for example, I have, let's say, an SSR Entom on my team, and I order her to throw a basic attack at the enemy. Because that Entoma deals 2 hits, is a multi-hit attack, that the basic attack of Entoma, and then because of her passive, she can shoot a 3 bullet box, that is basically another multi-hit attack in a row. That means that after those attacks, she is gonna grant those blessing stacks to Entoma, and it's gonna increase her attack by 1.6% per stack, up to 20 stacks. And Clementine is gonna throw basic attacks right after the ally, uses the basic attack on the enemy. So she is gonna be able to perform chases, but just with basic attacks. And because she performs chases with the basic attack, she's gonna be giving more, more blessing stacks to both the ally that attacked in that turn and to herself. But for that, you need to increase the character stars. In that case, it will have to be this and this upgrade. Now, ultimate skill. The ultimate skill is that she will basically heal up to 10 times, basically using the stacks, little heals each stack. So it's not like she's gonna get your character's full HP in one turn, but she can heal a ton. She heals based on her max HP, as most healers do, and she will grant herself the Unwavering Resolve state for 2 rounds. That is an effect that cannot be dispelled, and she will gain control immunity. That means that she's gonna be immune to stuns, silence, freeze, taunt, debuffs like a high tier defense down, a high tier speed down, things like that. And she will perform chases with the basic attack only once per action when an ally is attacked. When an ally attack, when a skill or when one ally gets attacked, heals by 5% of Clementine's max HP, and the value can increase more. So this character basically can perform chases in 2 senses, or in 2 ways. One, when her allies throw basic attacks on the enemy, and when her allies receive damage. And if you saw what were the stacks of, not the stacks, what were the basic attributes of Albedo when I show her, you will notice that both have an incredibly high health. In this case, Clementine has very good HP and a nice amount of attack, but she's very poor on speed and physical defense, while being just decent on the magical defense department, while the anniversary version of Albedo has decent physical defense, decent speed, nice or good health, and incredibly good attack. They are, as you can see, a little bit reversed, while she has also good magical defense. In the base attributes, which is health and attack, they're reversed. Clementine has more health, but less attack than Albedo, while Albedo has more attack, but has less health or HP, however you wanna say it. And now, the Arclights. Albedo Arclight basically acts with her passive skill and with all of her other, skills at the same time. Every time she uses a skill, can be the ultimate, can be the basic attack, the active skill of, the explosion, or even the passive, she's gonna purify 1 debuff from 1 allies, and she's gonna try to prioritize the buff block. And the second part of this arc light is that when the ally survive a fatal attack and recover health with her passive, she is going to increase their turn meter and the recover health by a certain percentage depending on the stars that you have on the arc light. So the more stars, the better you're going to heal them and increase their turn meter. While Clementine arc light gives a very different approach here. And is that when she obtains the unwavering resolve state, the state that the ultimate gives, all allies will have crit boost for 2 rounds, and each stack of blessing the basic attack is going to increase damage and critical damage. Basically, what crit boost gives is more chances of dealing critical hits. It doesn't increase the critical damage, it only increases the critical chance, and it's 20% the normal crit boost. So she's going to increase the critical chance of everyone on her team by 20%. And this already tells us two very different things. One is that basically this version of Albedo, this healer, focuses on increasing the damage of her allies on the skills, things like the second or the ultimate skill, while Clementine focuses on increasing both the chances of her team of dealing critical damage and increasing the basic attacks of her team, because this thing right here, the blessing, increases the plane attack, which is mostly what most characters use for two things: either a multi-hit basic attack or things like chase, counter, and assist. Usually, ultimate skills scale with multiple things like crit, attack, or health and defense, depending on the type of character that you're using. And this brings, two very different results. One will be that, in at least what I could tell my opinion, Clementine basically focuses on way more defensive teams that the teams that Albedo participates on, and it, well, at least for what I have seen on the synergies and the combos that you can do with the characters, Clementine is more easily compatible with chase and counter teams, while Albedo is way more compatible with area of effect and one shot teams like the meta team right now. And also, this Albedo can basically counter the kind of teams that Clementine plays on, because Clementine is really good on chase and counter teams, because chase and counter teams, each time that they do a chase or a counter, they do a basic attack. So every time they do a basic attack, Clementine is going to be attacking, dealing extra chases, healing the allies, purifying debuffs from her passive, and she's going to be giving the blessing stacks to everyone based on the basic attacks and increasing overall all of her team attack. While Albedo doesn't really give any of that, but her second skill allows her to dispel all the shields, well, most of the shields that the enemies may have, and her ultimate can also dispel multiple buffs of the entire enemy team at the same time. That means that, for example, Clementine in a counter team that usually tries to put things like Tank Kokyutos or SSR Yuri to heal with each counter and get extra shields, they will get countered by Albedo because she will deal all of their shields, and she's going to be able to use the ultimate to dispel things like Indomitable or the attack boost or defense boost that counter teams usually gain. But there is other thing. Even when, Clementine will be more effective in defensive teams because she will constantly be healing, constantly stack, because she cannot stack all in a single turn. She will need multiple turns, or in both cases of herself, and multiple turns of her allies to be able to reach max stacks of the blessings on both her and her allies. That means that she takes time, She's a character that doesn't really fit in quick style teams, that try to beat the enemy in 10 actions at most or something like that. Well, you may say that Albedo basically usually is there to boost a character like, for example, Seshi or Victim, increasing their critical damage so they can one-shot the enemy and get over with the fight really fast. When you could say that because it's, the overall use of the characters on the multiplayer and so, even in a defensive team, I would argue that Albedo is way better than Clementine because in, the hypothetical case that one character of the enemy team throws a very, destructive ability like victim ultimate or something like that and has high critical chance as well as high critical damage, it can get, uh, a very powerful result. It can result in the death of one of your characters. Well, Albedo being there, just by being there, even if it's not her turn or even if it's not any turn of your characters, she can save at least one of your tier members. She can even save two, or if you already throw the ultimate on another character, she can even save three characters on the team. While Clementine, if she is not on her turn ready to save an ally, or if she's not preventively using her second skill on an ally, she cannot save anyone on her team in the case that, the enemy pulls off a combo or throws a highly destructive skill on one ally. So with Clementine, you will need to, predict when the enemy is gonna throw a high damage dealing skill to one ally, and you will have to prevent, or to predict what ally is gonna be the main focus so you can save it before even the enemy attacks. While with Albedo, you don't have to worry about that because even if the enemy surprises you on one turn with a special combo or whatever, she's gonna be ready to heal or to save them with the passive skill. And if the enemy tries to focus on killing your healer, so they can pull off the same combo later on and kill the others, it's still really good because Albedo upgrades will allow her to highly reduce the damage of the first skill that the enemy deals to her in the first on each round at the start of each round. So the enemy will not be able to burst her down. They will need to throw one skill to throw her defense off of the passive and then throw another skill to try and bring her down. While Clementine is very, very weak to exactly that. If you throw something like a Seshi ultimate on top of her as soon as the game starts or something like that, you can burst Clementine down and you can basically render her useless because she will get stunned even if she doesn't die, and you can, capitalize on that and kill her later and, leave the enemy team without a healer and without the invincibility that this character gives, as well as the, ultimate cooldown reduction. While Albedo, even if she gets focused, like, same example, let's say that the enemy throws a Seshi ultimate on top of her as soon as the game starts, even if she doesn't die, she's still very much in play because even if she gets stunned by Seshi ultimate, she always purifies two debuffs from her each time she's gonna take an action. So there is always a chance that the control buff that she may have, like a silence or a freeze or a stun or a taunt, is gonna get purified as soon as she plays, and you will probably have another turn with her to throw, any skill that you may see necessary, like the ultimate skill or the second. So, what is mostly the counter to healers, that is, bursting them down as soon as you can or stunning them, is something that Clementine is highly vulnerable to, while Albedo is not. Another thing to take into consideration is basically how you can use this character, like what kind of teams you can play them with. I'm gonna start with Clementine because she boosts the basic attacks of everyone. She boosts the ultimates of everyone by reducing their cooldowns one round, as well as increasing the overall attack of characters. So, for example, characters like Nave, for example, that is one of the meta characters, is able to pull off more damage than usual with her ultimate. Well, the type of characters that you may combine with Clementine are crit-based characters and basic attack-based characters. That means characters like SSR Entoma, like Metalvedo, like Nigredo, like the Halloween Momon, Seishi if she is 6 stars because of the chases, or for example, this SR Entoma, or for example, other characters that deal chases like Aura, the normal version, like the normal Momon, for example, as well. And why? Well, because you can make a full chase synergy with the only healer that deals chases on the game, that is Clementine. And characters like Momo, for example, that deals chases and deals a lot of basic attacks, will get a lot of the blessing stacks very, very easily, and that will allow him to get as much extra damage as possible with the ultimate skill that is basically a combo that can kill one enemy and recede, giving him extra hits to the next target, and so you can make a chain reaction and kill everyone with a single ultimate skill. So you will try to, well, like the most compatible characters with Clementine will be those that deal chases, those that deal assist attacks, and those that deal multi-hit attacks. Like for example, Tisentoma is a multi-hit character. You can use her ultimate to give her a lot of talismans, and then, well, a lot of spells, and then throw this skill that is gonna be, a multi-hit attack. Here only, sorry, this one, and can be up to 6 spells. So she can literally gain 6 blessing stacks in a single turn. Remember that is stackable up to 20 times, and getting 6 stacks in a single turn can be really, really good. Characters like, for example, Seshi at 6 stars, she can perform multiple chases on all the enemies, so she will also obtain a lot of stacks. As the same goes for Halloween Momon, for example, and crit-based characters because, Clementine gives a crit boost with her Arclight, so again, characters that are crit-based will gain 20% extra, which is really, really good because you can help them achieve the 100% critical chance in, all of their turns during at least 2 rounds. Like for example, this. She will be able to achieve the 100% crit. But also the counter teams, like for example, this Coquito right here. While he is not, a high attack character or anything like that, this ultimate skill that gives the armor shield effect is really, really nice because it gives extra 20% counter rate and extra percent counter damage, which means that we will play into Clementine's strong side because she will increase the basic attack of everyone and all of that. So those are the things that combine with Clementine, and Seshi was the example. What are the things that combine with Albedo? Well, because she also gives an increase on crit, but instead of critical chance, she gives extra critical damage of 45% more. She is highly compatible with some of the same characters like Albedo, like Nigredo, like Nabe, like Halloween Momon, or Seshi, for example. They're also crit-based characters. But not only that, because she also can uh, basically revive. It's not directly a revive, but it acts like a revive when she makes someone invulnerable and heals them after they were gonna die. You can use this passive skill to combine her with any kind of squishy but high damage character. Like for example, this normal Albedo has relatively low health but high attack. Or Victim, this guy right here, the Nuke, has high attack, high health, but he cuts his health on health to increase his own attack, so he usually dies a lot. You can use Albedo to protect this kind of character, so the enemy cannot take them down in the early stages of the combat, and you can basically use Victim Explosion like 3 times in a row, or well, 2 times in a row, then the second skill, then the ultimate again, and deal incredibly high amounts of damage to the enemies, while keeping your ally alive when Victim will originally die with any other healer on its place. You can also go and take this character and combine with any character that enjoys having multiple buffs, because she's gonna be able to give a buff here, well, double buffs here, a shield and critical resistance boost. With ultimate, it's gonna be able to give 3 buffs at the same time. The passive skill is gonna be able to transfer 2 buffs to someone. Even the passive skill, when it gets activated, it can give up to 4 buffs at the same time. That means that characters with, kits that revolve around buffs can be highly compatible, like Pandora's Actor Captain skill, like Pandora's Actor Phantom Blitz skill, like for example Evil Eye. I don't have Evil Eye, but the more buffs Evilai has, the higher damage that she's gonna do. That's how her skill set is. So you can increase her performance just by throwing her multiple buffs at the same time. And she reduces the action points of the enemy Supreme Being, so you will delay the enemy leader skills being used on the game, at least by 3 or 4 actions, because each action gives you like 2 action points. Each character action gives 2 action points to the Supreme Being, but with some passive skills, it can be 3 or even 4 action points at the same time, depending on the Supreme Being. Like, for example, Lord of Time. Lord of Time can get up to like 4 action points each time one ally gets a buff. For example, you can delay a Lord of Time for throwing an ultimate skill or something like that. So, Clementine is highly compatible with counter, chase, and assist teams, as well as crit-based characters, while the Universal Albedo is more compatible with crit-based characters, with the meta team that is, high speed, high damage characters, such things like Tisashi, like Tank, Shisu, like this version of Hamuski, like Victim, for example. All of them do a ton of damage, and with the exception of Victim, all of them move really, really fast and are quite squishy if they get attacked by their counters. Like Shisu is really weak against physical defense, or Hamuski is really weak against true damage or magical defense. So if they're facing those kind of enemies that counter them, your Albedo can keep them alive without even throwing a skill, because it will go automatically. And that is where, the superiority of one healer over another, starts. For Clementine to be able to, be viable on your team, you will need at least 3 things. One thing is an entire team that has synergy with her. Because if you're using a team that, for example, is based on controlling the enemy, stunning them, freezing them, things like that, and slowly killing them, she is not going to be able to increase their attack a lot. If you're using a team that is based on damage over time effects, she's not going to be able to combine very well, because she would take a lot of time to stack up the blessings, while the damage over time characters usually throw skills and not basic attacks, so they're going to be stacking up the extra attack from Clementine very, very slowly, and the damage over time will be able to, tick and trigger the damage before Clementine increases the attack. And that's the first thing. You will need a team that synergizes with her based on the basic attacks, and how often they can use the basic attacks. Second of it, you will need to guarantee that she's going to be having at least 1 or 2 turns per match. Like, sometimes you can go on the arena mode, and if the enemy has a very, very fast team, some of your characters are not going to be able to even play. Like, for example, here, against all of these 4 characters, if I play Victim, it is highly unlikely that my Victim is going to be able to have even a turn. Because first team has Shizu, Hamuski, and Seishi, 3 characters with S on speed. The same goes for the second team, and the third team has Renner, Solution, and Shizu, 3 high speed characters as well. While the last, enemy here has Hamuski and Seishi, 2 high speed characters that are gonna be able to basically throw the ultimate to Victim and instantly kill him. The same can go for Clementine. Against this type of characters that are very, very fast, Clementine is very slow. She gets instantly countered because Seishi will be able to stun her with the ultimate, Hamuski is gonna be able to stun her with the second skill, Shizu is gonna be able to taunt her with the ultimate skill or even the basic attack, so she's not gonna be able to even play. Solution is gonna be able to throw her turn meter back by more than 50% with her ultimate skill at max level, as well as her captain skill combined. So if you do not play Clementine with any character that can allow you to have one of the first turns, so you can throw your skills and at least get one skill. One skill can be the ultimate, can be the second skill, whatever you need. She's not going to be useful, because she can be countered right as the game starts. So the second thing is that you need to guarantee that she's going to be able to play. And the third thing is that you need a team that benefits from her. Like I know I said the first thing is a team that, synergizes with her based on the basic attacks. But the third thing is that gets specifically benefited from her second skill, not only from the invincibility, but also from the ultimate cooldown reduction. Like, for example, there are characters with ultimates that are way more useful than others. Like, for example, Shelter here, the negative impact shield, is a really nice ultimate skill. It deals area of effect damage, reduces the enemy attack during certain amount of time, heals one ally, and is able to, explode again, heal an ally or herself, and deal even more damage and all of that. But that ultimate skill, it is not even comparable to, for example, another tank ultimate skill. Like, for example, this skill, Coquiotos, what does this ultimate does? Well, it gives a special kind of shield that increases counter rate and counter damage, gives shield wall to him so he focuses on, receiving the damage of the enemy. It activates the sharing capabilities that Coquiotos has to redirect part of the damage to him from his allies. It's gonna make him lose a little bit of HP, I know, but in exchange for the shield that he gains, he's also gonna be able to purify one debuff from all of his allies. And so, thing is, are some ultimates that are more valuable than others? If you combine, Clementine with, let's say, Shelter, that is not really that benefited from the ultimate buff, or with, for example, uh, the Dead Knight or Aura, that is a chase kind of character, but with normal Shelter, you know, uh, even characters like, for example, Yaldabaoth from the Bleed team, or even from the meta team could be, for example, uh, this Nave. It could, the limited Nave, it could be the limited time Lupus Regina. They're not gonna be as highly benefited from having one turn of their ultimate reduced as, for example, characters like Seshi or Momon. Seshi is gonna be able to deal high damage to the enemy, steal Torture Meter by 30%, to stun them, to gain high speed up, to basically dispel two enemy buffs. She's, well, four enemy buffs because it's two per hit and it's a two-hit attack. She's also going to be able to nullify a lot of defensive capabilities from the tanks. That skill, a skill that deals a lot of things, is going to be able to be more useful than an ultimate that basically deals high damage, puts bleed on the enemy, and triggers bleed. Like, if you combine characters that are highly based on their ultimates, like, for example, Momon here on the ultimate is able to deal a ton of damage, is going to be able to nullify sharing, shield wall support, is going to be able to nullify part of the enemy defense, is going to reduce effect resistance and crit from the enemy, is going to trigger Infernal Flame, and then all of those things. Like, if you don't have characters with very, very good or very useful ultimates, they're not going to be able to combo or to benefit that much from Clementine ultimate. But this Albedo can be combined with any character just because of her passive skill. Her passive skill is literally just a get out of jail free card. And that is useful for any kind of character. Like, any character might be able to die. Like, your damage dealer is going to be able to die in the next round. Well, your Albedo is going to heal her. Your tank is very weak after 40 actions and the enemy is going to kill her. Well, Albedo is going to be able to save her with the passive skill. Your mage is very squishy and might die in a victim explosion. Well, the invulnerability from your Albedo is going to save her, and it's going to make her invulnerable for 2 rounds. 2 rounds that which your characters could throw their ultimates or recharge and throw their ultimates. So you see where I'm going? Clementine is highly situational. It's very dependent on the kind of team that she's facing and the kind of team that she's played on, while the Anniversary Albedo is highly compatible with everything. Of course, she has combinations and teams that are more optimal with her than others. Like for example, she's way more compatible in a critical damage team that in a bleed team, or she's way better in, for example, an area of effect team that what she is in a burn team, or she is way better at, for example, saving your ass when the enemy turn comes than what Clementine might do. So my point is that, like, if you want a healer that is highly specialized on basic attacks, of increasing the attack, go for Clementine. If you want a healer that is highly specialized on literally the main healer role that is keeping your team alive, then go for the Astral Prayer. Well, at this point, you're not gonna be able to go for the Astral Prayer because the event will be over, but you get what I mean. If you have both characters, or if you already have the Astral Prayer character and you are thinking on getting Clementine, and you can, only afford some summonings, not the guaranteed one, you remain with the Astral Prayer one. My conclusion is basically, in an overall scale of skill sets and everything, the anniversary version of Albedo is more more flexible in what kind of teams she can be played on. That's one. Two, she is better at playing the defensive position or the defensive role at what Clementine can be. That's two. Three, for how do I say it? Albedo is way better at increasing your chances of doing a key moment or a key play that is gonna grant you the victory. That's what Clementine is able to. Because Clementine, in a hard situation, in an emergency, she's gonna be able to reduce the cooldown of an ultimate war by 1 round on your team. She's gonna be able to make one ally invulnerable for 2 rounds and to heal her team and increase her attack by a certain percentage. Okay, that is not a lot. Like, the best you could be hoping for is that you make one ally invulnerable, the enemy, attacks, wastes their skills, and your ally or your character that is invulnerable is gonna be able to counterattack in the next turn and kill someone on the enemy team and give you the upper hand. That is the best outcome you can do without Clementine. But without an Albedo on your team, with the anniversary version of Albedo, you can do so much more. In just one turn, one ultimate use on one character, you're gonna be able to do so much. You're gonna be able to dispel enemy buffs. You're gonna be able to heal all of your team, to do area of effect damage on the enemy. You're gonna be able to increase the turn meter of one ally that you decide. You're gonna increase the critical damage of one specific ally that you decide, as well as giving them debuff immunity. And at the same time, you're gonna take 10 action points away from the enemy supreme leader skill. So you're gonna delay the capabilities of the enemy of throwing a skill like falling down on your team. And at the same time, you're gonna be able to execute enemies. So if an enemy like a Shelter or a Death Knight that can revive is low health, and the enemy is not healing that character because it's confident that it's gonna revive, you can execute them and take their resurrection or their indomitable or their time reversal. You can take that away from the enemy. And all of that is just one ultimate skill, just one use. So you have way more flexibility with the Astral Prey character than with the summon version of Clementine. You have more, more room for error as well because of the passive skill. And not only that, but the Arc Light increases also the turn meter. So even if one character was about to die and the vulnerability activated for that ally, because of the increased turn meter, you will probably give a turn to that character right after it was about to die. Kind of what Victim Arc Light does. And with Clementine, you can prevent one ally from taking damage by making them invulnerable, yes, but they are not gonna gain any extra turn meter. So if a Seshi focuses on ulting them, or Idol Shelter throws the ultimate, for example, their turn meter can be reduced. They're not gonna be receiving any damage, that's right, but they're gonna have their turn meter reduced. So you don't know when your character is gonna have a turn. They're gonna be invincible, yeah, but it is not useful at character that is invincible and doesn't have a turn. While your anniversary albedo is gonna be able to make one, even two characters invulnerable, and it's gonna help you to make those characters have a turn right after the enemy tries to kill them. You know what I mean? That's the key points. Like, have you seen that meme from John Cena that one character on Prison is saying he does everything that I do, but better? That is, that is the exact same thing here. Anniversary Albedo is able to do everything that Clementine is able to do, but better, like way better. So, in my opinion, the best character, the best healer from those two is Albedo. And yeah, it will be because she's more flexible, she's better at the defensive play, she's more useful in the utility that it gives you, shields, uh, transferring debuffs, transferring buffs, purifying debuffs, increasing damage dealt of the next skill, giving crit resistance, indomitable, invulnerability, high effect resistance boost, all of those things. She is able to combine with way more characters than what Clementine is able to. And not only that, but overall is, a more useful character because it's not only offering you healing shields and buffs like Clementine, it's also offering way more. The only good thing that you could give Clementine over Albedo here is the second skill reducing everyone cooldown, because that is a stronger, well, not a stronger, but it's an area of effect version of Pestonia Arclight, because she can also reduce rounds of the skills of her allies. She cannot guarantee that she's gonna reduce the cooldown of the ultimate skill, but depending on how you use the skills, you can force this Arclight to reduce the rounds of the ultimates. Like, for example, you can play Pestonia and Victim together. Use the first turn, use Victim ultimate, and then Pestonia. Then you can force this Arclight to uh, reduce the cooldown of the ultimate, because it's the only skill that is in cooldown. The others are already, so you can use that. But with Clementine, you guarantee that it's gonna be one round of the ultimate that is reduced. So combos that you are able to do with Pestonia to reduce the ultimate of someone to deal, or to take the enemy by surprise, like reducing the ultimate of Victim or Momon or Sariusu, characters that are not only dependent on the ultimate, but also their ultimates are highly important to your teams. Like, for example, Sarius is able to disrupt entire enemy compositions with the ultimate. Momon is able to basically wipe out entire enemy teams with the ultimate if you properly set up the enemy health. Big Team is able to stun all the enemy team in a single action. Those characters that combine with Pestonia because of her Arclight, but you can do the same place with, the same place, sorry. You can do the same thing with Clementine now, but you can, for example, in normal teams, you will do a combo of, for example, Big Team Cicita, the tank version Pestonia, and any other character that you want. You mostly are depending on Pestonia of reducing the ultimate of Victim only. But with Clementine, you could do a team where, for example, Victim and Momon are together and one tank, and you will reduce the ultimate of both of them at the same time. So if one doesn't kill them, the other is gonna do it with the ultimate. That is the only thing that you can give to Clementine over Albedo. She's gonna be able to enable you to pull off combos with the ultimates more often. But Albedo is gonna be able to literally let you buff any character that you want a lot, and make them basically immune to death by certain periods of time. because you can time the ultimate that gives Indomitable for 2 rounds. You can time that with the passive skills and the healings, so you can do, if you properly, time the skills, you can give one ally 4 turns, literally 4 turns of invulnerability and 2 extra turns of Indomitable. So that is literally 6 turns that one ally is not able to die. If you combine that with, for example, this character that is Momon and the no retreat skill that basically allows him to heal and has a 6 round cooldown and so, you can keep this character alive the entire match and make him immune to death. Clementine will be able to pull off that? Yes. It's gonna be able to pull off the same thing, but it will require way more things. With Albedo, you will only need to time 2 things: the cooldowns of Albedo, mostly the ultimate skill, and the health of the ally that you want to keep alive. But with Clementine, you will need 3 things. You will carefully need to scan and to track the health of the ally that you want to keep alive. You will need to track the cooldown of her second skill, and you will need a Vermare set that constantly activates and reduces Clementine's second skill cooldown, so she can throw that skill over and over again. So you need more setup for her to work, and Albedo can do the same with way less setup. So you can use the Vermare set on her for other benefits with the ultimate, to keep another character alive, or you can use other sets like Termination to increase the damage of your Albedo so she will heal more, things like that. But anyway, combos and so I already told you what is good and so on the basic level. You can experiment with any combo that you want, and yeah, this is gonna be like the end of it. Healers, yeah, Albedo is the best. Clementine is not bad, but it's not the first place. I would recommend you to level up Albedo if you have to choose between the two. But if you are more of a Clementine fan and you think that she's better, you can comment why you think she's better and what scenarios are the best for her. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for hearing my awful voice and all of that. I don't know when I'm gonna be doing the next guide, but I'm gonna try to do one by Friday. Friday, all days. Well, I think at least I'm gonna do one Friday, because I have like 4 in mind. And yeah, that is everything for today. And so yeah, bye.